Hey, this is Dr. Green, and in this video we're going to cover the hip airplane exercise, which is a great exercise for being able to control the entirety of the range of motion at the hip to improve hip mobility. So the reason this is called the hip airplane is because it kind of, when we do it right, looks like we're mimicking an airplane, right? So the goal of this is we're going to kind of start in a little bit of like a hip hinge position. So it's a slight bend of the knee. I'm going to kind of sit my hips back, right? Kicking my leg back. You can have the arms out. I'm going to do it just so you can kind of see what's happening. The goal with this one is I want to think about keeping my shoulders and my hips pretty much in line so that they rotate together. So I'm not trying to rotate shoulders farther than hips or hips farther than shoulders. They pretty much rotate together, okay? So a slight bend in the knee, sitting hips back. I'm going to go into internal rotation on this side, right? So I'm rotating in, and then I'm going to control it on the way out. So I'm going to work into external rotation, keeping my hips and shoulders attached, right? Into, right, internal rotation, and then working from the glute, right, making sure that I'm pushing from the glute into external rotation. It's clearly a lot harder than it looks. So in some cases, we want to be able to use the wall to add a little bit of stability. I'm going to show you on the right leg. Same position, slight bend in the knee, sitting the hips back. I'm going to sink my left hip so that my right hip goes into internal rotation, making sure my shoulder follows. And then I'm going to use that glute to push into external rotation and then back down. Sometimes what we see is kind of like a difficulty in controlling knee position where the knee is kind of wobbling and not really being able to stay stable. So what we can do in those situations is just take a foam roller. We're going to place it against the wall at about knee height, and we're going to kind of push that knee into the foam roller to keep that against the wall. I'm going to, same thing, hinge back, but I can have a little bit of weight, like 90% of the weight on the front foot, 10% of the weight or less on the back. Same thing, hip hinge position. I'm going to make sure that I rotate, keeping shoulders and hips connected into that internal rotation position, feeling it all through the glute, and then pushing from that glute to get into external rotation. Okay, so that's 3 different versions of the hip airplane exercise. Go with what you can do well, and it's a great exercise for being able to work and improve on your hip mobility.